talk about integers. The very next subject that we'll be getting into is algebra. Before we can do algebra, we have to know about integers. Has anybody ever heard of an integer? Okay. An integer is simply a number. Okay? Any number. 20, 50, 80, -5. When we talk about integers, we have two types of numbers. We have positive numbers and we have negative numbers. Now, can anybody think of something in real life where we deal with positive numbers and negative numbers?
Weather.
Say?
Weather.
Weather. Perfect. Weather. Now,
Bank account.
it can be, okay, we'll come to that one next. It can be 80 degrees outside, or it can be what else?
Below 80.
Below 80. Woo! Below 80, minus 80 degrees outside. Positive 80, minus 80. Okay? You said bank account. Okay? You can have $100, right, in your bank account, or you can have negative $100 in your bank account.
Negative 130, that's the bank charge.
Okay, with the bank charge, 30, okay. It's a negative, right? The bank is gonna take out another 30. Anything else?
Temperature, like your thermometer.
Thermometer?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of have the same thing as weather because we're talking about temperature. Your thermometer will take the temperature in the mouth, and they're taking the temperature outside, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
You say grocery shopping? Kind of like money, because we're dealing with positives and negatives, right? Okay. So we all got the concept of what a positive number and a negative number is, right? Okay. Now, when we talk about integers and we talk about algebra, there's going to be certain things that we're doing between integers, and when we're dealing with integers, I want you guys to remember it's like a game, okay? Who grew up playing sports? What sport did you play? Alex.
Basketball.
Uh-oh. Basketball. Travis.
Basketball, baseball.
Basketball, baseball. Okay.
Wow, should we keep going?
Basketball, track.
Basketball and track. Now let me ask you something. When you were playing basketball, right? Could you just pick up the ball in the middle of the game, start running towards the basket,
No.
kick the ball into the hoop,
No.
and say, "It's good"?
No.
Like you made a field goal. Why?
Because you have traveling.
Because you have rules. You have rules in basketball. You can't mix up your football rules with your basketball rules. It's the same thing with integers. If we're adding integers, we have rules. We can't mix up our adding integer rules with our multiplication rules. Okay? The thing about integers is we have to learn one thing at a time. One rule at a time. Don't try to learn everything at once. We learn it one at a time. Okay? So let's start off with adding integers. When you're adding integers, you have simple rules. Rule number 1. If they have the same sign,
You might need to write this down.
if they have the same sign, you add
Oh, here you
and keep your sign. So, if you have two numbers and you're adding them, and these two numbers have the same sign, go ahead and add the two numbers and keep your sign. Perfect example. 8 plus 2 equals what?
10.
10. Now how we say this is positive 8 plus positive 2 equals positive 10. Okay? Now, here's the other side of that rule. Let's say we have negative 8 plus negative 2. We do the same thing. We add the numbers and keep the sign. Negative 8 plus negative 2 equals 10 with the negative, negative 10. So do we understand the first rule? Does that make sense, Christine?
Yes.
Okay. So if we have the same sign, regardless if they're both positive or both negative, we add them and keep the sign we started out with. Rule number 2. If we have a different sign, we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. Rule number 2, a lot of people struggle with. And I'm telling you guys, if you haven't done this before, this is not something that's just going to come overnight. Repetition is the father of learning. The more you do something over and over again, the more it becomes a part of you, the more you become comfortable with it, the more that you're able to perform these things that they ask you on the test. Okay? So this stuff might be a little confusing at first, but don't be frustrated. The only way you're going to be frustrated is if you're expecting to get all this today. If you've never seen this before, you're not going to get all this today. If you are, you're very fortunate, but the majority of people don't. If I have two different signs, I subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. Let's say I'm adding -8 plus 12. First thing I want to do is, because I'm adding, I want to look at my 2 rules for adding. Same sign. Does that apply to me in this problem? Do I have the same sign?
No.
No, so it's not rule number 1. Rule number 2, different sign. Does that apply to me?
Yep.
Yes, I have 2 different signs. Different sign, subtract. Hold up. Don't run with this. Stop right there. First thing you do is subtract. Don't worry about positive. Don't worry about negative. Just answer me this. What is 8 minus 12?
4.
4. First thing I do is I write the number 4. I subtracted, right? I did that part. And then I take the sign of the bigger number. Which is bigger, 8 or 12? 12. So because 12 is positive, my 4 is going to be what?
Positive.
Positive. That's it. That is how you add integers. Any questions about those? You guys sure? You feel comfortable with it? Good, because I'm about to ask you some of these. Sharon. If I have a positive 9 and I'm adding it plus a -3, what's my answer going to be?
6.
What kind of
Positive 6.
Positive 6, perfect. Positive 6. Good job, Sharon. Naomi, if I have -4 and I'm adding it with 10, what's my answer going to be?
Positive 6.
Good job, Naomi. Good job. Good job. Travis, if I have -20 and I'm adding it with 20, what's my answer going to be?
0.
0. Good
I've
job.
never done this before.
Why could I
Good job. Good job. Good job, Travis.
Clarify that. My first time.
Deborah,
Yes.
if I have positive 8
Yes.
and I'm adding it with -2, what's my answer going to be?
A -4.
Okay, close. Close. Let's take this step by step. Like, right now, don't even worry about the answer. Because I'm telling you, when not just algebra, but math in general, the process is what's going to get us the right answer.
Okay.
Chasing the right answer, most of the time, is going to lead us in different directions depending on what we're doing. But the process never changes.
Okay, it's
Okay.
10.
Don't worry about the answer. Remember what I just told you? So we ain't going to worry about the answer.
Okay.
We're going to look at the process. First thing, do I have 2 of the same sign or do I have 2 different signs?
2 different.
2 different. So I immediately go to rule number 2. Okay? When I have 2 different signs, I subtract. Don't worry about the answer. What's 8 minus 2? If you had $8 and I came and took $2 away, how much money do you have now?
4.
Okay? Don't tell them. Let it give it. If you had, let me see. If you had 8 pieces of pizza, and I came and I took 2 pieces of pizza away from you, how much do you have now?
Hold on. 6.
6. Perfect. So I know 8 minus 2 is 6. So now I subtract.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I take the sign of the bigger number. Which is bigger, 8 or 2?
The 8.
The 8 is bigger. So since 8 is positive, my 6 is going to be what? Positive. And that's how I get it. Good job, Debbie. Okay, Christine. If I have a -2, and I add it with 5, what am I going to get?
Positive 3.
Good job.
Good,
Good job. Good job, Christina. +3. Great job, class.